Number 10. Tom DeLonge.
But it wasn't that they said these things. It was more about, I just knew that the view they had about where they wanted to take music, or what they wanted to do in their own lives, or how much they wanted to be gone, or what they wanted the band to mean in their life, it was different than myself. It's not that I didn't want to play music or be the biggest band in the world or travel or whatever. It was like I needed to be home with my family at that moment, and they didn't need to at that moment. So I think it was we were butting heads. So here I go. So I'm walking out of the rehearsal studio, and I look over at Doug, my guitar tech, and I said, "Meet me in a few weeks. I have another thing in mind." I drove home, and as I'm driving home, I wait about 5 miles, and I make a phone call to our manager, and I said, "Hey, I can't do this anymore." And he's like, "Are you serious?" And I go to his house. We walk along the beach. It's midnight in San Diego. Talk about everything. I can't do it anymore. And I can't even imagine what I would say. I can't even imagine arguing anymore. I can't even imagine going through. He's like, why do you think you're going to have to argue again? Why do you think you're going to have to? Come on, I just know I will. We went through, weeks of it. Like, weeks of it. Like, what am I going to say again? And so that's why I had manager call. I said, you know what? Just make the phone call.
Number 9. Julian Casablancas.
Stars every day, but there's more to life than fucking trying to be popular, and that's what we're trying to say, and that's what our fucking music says, so wait till it fucking comes out.
But I don't think you're trying to be popular. I think it's great that you made it to Australia, like on a single. You made...
Number 8. Ryan Adams.
I love it and become very sort of self-grandizing. They're very, they sort of embrace it, which I think is a fine thing to do if that's your cup of tea. And then some people sort of bitch and moan about it and complain like, I don't want to be famous, or I don't want to be a celebrity. And see, I think both of those neither of those fit my personality. Like, I don't really feel like I'm so interesting or whatever that shit is, And at the same time, I don't want to be complaining about it. I don't want to be like, I hate this and whatever. So I've chosen this I just chose this option, this third option, and that's just to go the fuck away.
It goes with the job.
It does, I guess. It doesn't happen to a lot of people, and then it does happen. It always seems to happen to people who don't fucking want.
Number 7. Caleb Followill.
Even more full on. How does it feel to actually, well, for one, have a second album out at such a young age?
It's a thrill. It's an honor. There are a lot of great bands out there that don't get the opportunity to do this. There's a lot of terrible bands that do get the opportunity to do this. But I think, we're all family and we're all very competitive. And we want to do the best at whatever we do. We don't think anyone should be better than us at anything. So I know it sounds weird, but I think it's just a family thing. That's how we've always been. So, of course, we're going to have to, if we talk shit, we're going to have to back it up. So we're always going to have to come with something better. It's a lot of pressure, but I think the pressure is what created Kings of Leon in the first place. Mm. Everything that we ever did was frowned upon. No one wanted us to be called Kings of Leon. No one wanted us to put our little brother and our cousin in our band, but no one wanted us to do anything. I mean, every artwork of every album, of everything, every lyric that I've ever written, all of that, there's always someone that thinks they're smart and thinks that you shouldn't do it, but then they kiss your ass in the end.
Who's laughing now? I believe it was you said you wanted this album to be like an open wound.
Yeah.
Well, were you successful in that?
Yeah.
I don't think the album really hurts that much.
Yeah, it's just I want it to be so honest, so pure. And all these bands have all these artsy bands, all these fucking bands that went to nice schools and have rich parents and all that shit. And so they all kind of, I don't know, they all write songs that way. And I think for us, we never felt like we were as smart as a lot of bands. And so the only thing I could do is be honest, and don't leave anything out. I mean, if you're going to sing about sex, you might as well sing about the nights that you couldn't get it up. It's like, I don't understand how people can how people can think that actually, people actually believe that it's always the highs and never the lows. It's more low than high.
Number 6, Wentz.
Heart, and then they were just kind of the band that did it first, and then like everybody kind of came along and capitalized on it. I can, speaking for us, I know we wouldn't exist really without Lifetime. I don't think. I mean, we might have come together and made a band, but it wouldn't have been this band.
Cool. Can you talk about how you guys came together?
The guy who tells the story about how we came together isn't here, so we don't remember it that well. But I think Joe, our other guitarist, called me up and wanted to do something like a little bit like more poppy. We were doing like heavier bands at the time, and I think we wanted to do a band that sounded kind of like The Descendants or Lifetime. And then I believe him and Patrick ran into each other at a bookstore.
I didn't know these guys at all, and I was curious because they were in a lot of hardcore bands I used to like. So,
and then we just like it was like weird because it's people like we in our earlier interviews we've said that it started as a joke, and people were like, oh, so you're making fun of it or whatever, and it's like it's not like that. It's not a joke like that. It's more like it's like a goof kind of like it was just like we were totally just like goofing around in the basement, and like there's no like when people are like, how do you make your band be like yours? How do we make like it's like I don't know. You throw in a bunch of crap and like mix it, and maybe you get a cake, or maybe you get I don't know.
That was the thing I was telling somebody the other
pie.
Number 5, Dave Grohl.
From Government Mule and Allman Brothers, Grant Hart from Husker Du, Nora Jones, Jim James from My Morning Jacket, Rachel Yamagata, Sean Marshall from Cat Power, Josh from Queens of the Stone Age, John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. Now that was someone on the wish list that was just kind of the Make-A-Wish Foundation wish list. That wasn't the real deal. I put him on the list because I thought, well, I have like Zeppelin tattoos all over me, and I thought this might be the chance to actually get this happening. And we get a message back from his manager, like, yeah, he's going to be in town for the Grammys because Zeppelin are getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. You should talk to him. So we talked about it. He came in. A couple days later, I get an email. Oh, he's going to bring his mandolin, too. I was like, this isn't happening. So he shows up. He's the nicest dude in the world. We play him a couple songs. He played on 3 songs.
Number 4, Jared Leto.
Because there's the photo. Hey, man. It's online, novafm.com.au right now. This is the photo. I did a selfie. That's how tight Jared Leto and I are. We were selfieing together.
That's called proof of purchase right there. And if they only knew what happened after that photo. Ooh.
How's everything going? We've got so much music that we need to talk about. We need to talk about the new album. We're going to get to that in a second. But how's everything in your world? Everything good?
Wonderful. A couple of weeks ago, we shot our single Up into Space with the help of NASA. And that was the beginning of this crazy adventure that we're going to be having for the next year and a half. Australia is the very first trip that we're making abroad to talk about the new album, Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams. And we are returning to Australia very, very soon.
Okay, there's so many things I need to talk to you about right now.
Yeah.
In that one sentence, you've literally answered many of my questions.
Well, I like to do that so we can get it out of the way and get back to what's really important, which is talking about sex.
Yeah. Tell me.
Because, sex isn't really about sex.
No.
Sex is about
intimacy. What does the Jared Leto get to do in his spare time? How does he relax?
Usually with some Kama Sutra.
Yeah.
Which is, if you don't know what that is out there, is a series of prolonged sexual activity.
Number 3, Adam Levine.
I'll eat it later, though. Can I sell this on eBay? Only kidding. All right, so I'm a little nervous, and I have to admit something before we start. We do something on the show where we talk about our lists and, who's on your list. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you can cheat with a certain person and you won't get in trouble. So you're number 1 on my list. So I have to get it out of the table.
Awkward.
I know. It's very weird. But I told them, I said, the listeners will think that I'm like, not honest if I don't tell you that off the bat.
It would crush your dream. You to leave it at fantasy. It's not the real thing. Ain't that great?
That's not what I'm hearing.
Wow.
All right, let's talk your fragrance.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. Do you actually go into a room and smell different scents and say, okay, this smells really great. This sucks. I don't want this. I don't want that. Are you that involved?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of any of this kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, I heard that.
So, but I have to be honest. I can't lie. I can't say that. Oh yeah, obviously I twittered some stupid stuff a while back saying, I thought celebrity fragrances were horrible,
Right,
and I kind of have to, eat a little bit of that just because I still do think that. But I thought once the opportunity kind of fell into my lap, it wasn't like I went looking for it, but when the opportunity came up and these amazing people approached me on it, I thought, well, it is connected to something that I like, and you can make something good. It doesn't have to be in poor taste. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be some sort of like really corny self-promoting thing. I actually like the idea of having a fragrance that's really cool, that's really easy and smells good and doesn't smell like,
What do you think it smells like, your fragrance?
Well, when like a guy walks into an elevator and he's dressed too nicely and smells too strongly.
Yes.
Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, what's your deal?
Yeah.
That's like what I want to avoid.
Okay,
You know what
that's
I mean?
good. Yes.
There's that guy.
Yeah, of course.
Or smells like he took it out of a magazine insert and kind of rubbed it all over his body.
Yeah.
I want to avoid that. So I want it to be something easy that you can throw on anytime that doesn't smell like everybody else. It's not so musky and gross and just like nasty. That's the men's one. And the women's one's really simple and kind of delicate and not overwhelming.
Even if it didn't smell good, I'd wear it because your name's on it.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about the bottle. I think that one of your tattoos should have been the shape of the bottle.
Number 2, Chris Martin.
About to go off to Japan to finish up a world tour.
Australia and
Japan. But you've got another project. Just recently, a new son.
Yep.
Just not even 3 weeks old while we're talking. No. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Moses Martin. Your daughter Apple has a biblical name in a way too. It's like you started with the book of Genesis and you've moved on to Exodus now.
Exactly.
Okay, was that the plan from the very start?
Everything is planned meticulously according to biblical proportions.
You're the oldest of 5 children. How big a family do you anticipate having?
17, 20.
Really? Can't wait to get back to work, can you?
I think progeny. I'd like to be married at least 12 times.
Being a father yourself, how has it changed your perspective on who you are and what you do?
Well, I think it puts everything you do into sharp relief, and it makes you more focused, I think. But we were focused before. I think everyone would say it makes you realize what your priorities are, Going bowling isn't such a big deal for me anymore.
Were you a big bowler before this?
Not huge, but I mean, it had to go. So, I've only kept on the things that I really loved.
You have less time for what's unessential?
I have less time for, exactly what's unessential.
Now,
I don't go dry skiing nearly so often.
When did you first begin performing?
In a professional manner.
Well, say before that, as a child.
Well, I had a teacher. My dad came home from Venice one time with my mum, and they gave me this, I suppose you'd call it a ukulele. I didn't call it that, I couldn't pronounce it.
How old were you at the time?
Maybe 7 or 6. And they forced me out onto the streets to earn some. No, they didn't. They gave me that, and then they were always encouraging me to play and do what, they never sort of constricted me in any way. So, I'm sure we must have done something at Christmas or something like that. But the first concert I remember doing, I was probably 10 or 11, and I had a great teacher called Stephen who came into our school and said to everyone, you don't have to be classically trained to do music, and you don't have to be able to read music, to write music. And he sort of tore up the rule book in our school, which was kind of a strict school. And so I just loved hearing that, and so I started writing little melodies when I was about 10.
You were then playing the piano?
I was more, I don't know if the piano is more sort of Pet Shop Boys keyboard. I would stand behind a keyboard very proudly, which I would never do now.
But you gravitated towards the piano, because I know in high school you often spent a sleepless night in a practice room playing the piano.
Actually, it's more of a sort of, I'm like a Salt Lake City music, no, I don't want to say that. I'm like, have you seen that show Big Love?
Yes.
Where he has 3 wives?
Yes.
Well, that's how I am with singing and piano and guitar.
Those are your 3 wives?
So they're my 3 sort of non-wife wives. And most people think that I spend most time with the piano, but in fact, behind closed doors.
Number 1, Brandon Flowers.
My mother had died, and we got a piano out of it, and I would always, fiddle around on it, and I I guess that's how that started. Prior to this, it was just crappy high school bands and stuff like that, and little indie bands, I guess you'd say, just that didn't amount to anything. But, and then I I went through a stretch of like 4 years when I didn't play with anyone, and then I just decided to move out to Vegas at that point because I was really bored in Iowa. So then I moved out to Vegas, and eventually I met Brandon. And it was partially that and partially getting out of the small town that I was in. I'd grown up in Las Vegas, and my parents moved when I was 9. We moved away, and my mindset was always, in the city. And so as soon as I was old enough, I begged and begged to go live with my aunt. So my parents let me go. The way I look at it is, you have the sin area, and which is what everyone seems to be fascinated with. And for us, it was just normal. I didn't see it as necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, it was very exciting. I mean, at night it's gorgeous, and it's in this valley, and everybody lives around it. So usually, from somewhere in your yard or on top of a wall, you can look down and to see this beautiful city. And it was always kind of like intriguing to me when I was young, because you aren't allowed to go into the casinos unless you were with your mom or whatever. And even then, they had to just rush you through. You aren't, So as soon as I could get a fake ID.
Please like and comments. See you soon.